Tiffany here with The Crafty Home, and today is Tuesday Talks. Tuesday Talks is a Goodreads group that was created by Jeannie and Janie. Their names are too similar. Anyway, I will link their channels down below in the Goodreads group so you can join in. It's a lot of fun. Each week there is a new topic that you just talk about. Hence Tuesday Talks. I'm talking about it on Tuesday. So this week's topic is, let me read it here, what is the most difficult yet rewarding book you have read? And this one is more like a whole genre. This was hard for me to think of because there aren't many books that have been like hard for me to read, that difficult to read. I would say that like I thought that Mistborn was going to be that way. I thought it would be difficult for me, but it wasn't. It was fabulous and still is fabulous, so I can't really count that. I would say recently I haven't really read anything that's been very difficult, which is not good. I've been reading a lot of like young adult and stuff, and just stuff that's somewhat easier, I guess you'd say. But I need to get back into, and I've been thinking about this before this topic came up, that I need to get back into reading like classics. And for me, that's kind of where it's at. Those are the books that are the hardest for me, for A, to like finally pick up because they're just so daunting to me. And B, they're usually somewhat difficult to read. Not always, I mean it depends, but they're not quite as easy as just breezing through a young adult book. And but I always feel so rewarded after having read them. I haven't actually read that many classics in my life. Even for school, I went to private school my first 2 years, and we didn't read much. I honestly don't. I remember having to learn grammar and stuff like that, but I don't remember like having to read specific books like you do in public school. And then I moved over to public school and I was like, oh, this is strange. I never had to do that before. And unfortunately I'm the type that doesn't read good for a deadline, so I don't know that I actually read many of them, if any. Yeah, that was not good of me. So yeah, I think like the classics I can think of and that I can remember having read, I've read Little Women. It's been forever ago. And then I read Little Men, and Little Men actually stuck with me more than Little Women. I love Little Men, and I recently reread that. I mean, I remember where I was when I read it, how I was sitting. I was like in this blanket fort. I think I was in like 6th or 7th grade, maybe 8th grade, in my bedroom. I totally remember like everything about it, and I think I read it in a day. I loved it so much. And then and I always feel like when I read a classic, like my brain is being enriched, if that makes sense. And not to say that like reading a young adult isn't enriching, but I just find for myself that when I read a classic, I just feel like I've accomplished something. So anyway, so those two, and then the other one that comes to mind right now is Out of Eden by John Steinbeck. I read that when Oprah Winfrey picked it as her Oprah Book Club pick. So long ago. I think it was like one of her first picks too. I'm like dating myself here, but I remember reading it. It was before I had kids. It was probably the first book that I read that dealt with more mature subjects, and honestly now I can barely tell you what it was about. So I obviously need to reread it, but I remember reading it and being like, wow, this is like grown-up book, and I felt really good for having read it. So yeah, I guess that doesn't really answer the question because I can't think of one specific book, but I guess this question has really just made me think that perhaps I need to read some more challenging books. Maybe I think I've kind of thought, and maybe I'll just like say it here, I could even put it in the title. I'm gonna try to do the Read Harder challenge from Book Riot, and I'm hoping that this will get me to read some books that I wouldn't necessarily read. And so I kind of have like the first 3 I think I'm gonna go for picked out. There's one category I'm not gonna do, but other than that I think I'm gonna do all of them. So yeah, I've picked, I think I'm gonna do for the one for somebody under the age of 25, I'm gonna do Sense and Sensibility, because Jane Austen wrote that in her 20s. And then for a book written by somebody over 65, I was going to do Stephen King's Revival because I've wanted to read Stephen King. And I don't have a clue where to start. I don't like horror, and I know he does write some horror, but I guess I'm learning now that he writes more than that. Revival sounds good, so I'm going to try that. And the other one that I'm going to try is for the category of microhistory, and it's Stiff by Mary Reach. I can't read that from here. Roach. It's the one about the life of human cadavers or whatever. I always thought that sounded interesting. So yeah, I'm going to try to do that, and hopefully that'll get me reading some more books that will be difficult but rewarding. So let me know what your book would be that has been the most difficult yet rewarding for you to read, and until next time, I'll chat with you later. Bye!